I don't often put out like tweets about our season because our season sort of speaks for itself, and we have press conferences all the time, and I've got a radio show and a TV show. There's plenty of time for me to be able to communicate with our fans. But I'm gonna communicate with them again just about some of the noise over losing a couple games on the road this weekend, and I just think it's important to me. We're going to lose some more games. We're probably going to lose several more games, and we've got to go to Ole Miss. They're 12-0 at home. We're playing a Vanderbilt team that has beat us in the second half, beat Alabama in a half, was up 5 at 10 against Tennessee. Saturday. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They're a good team. They're capable. We got to play South Carolina 17-3. We got to play a 10th ranked Kentucky team. We're going to Florida. They're 9-1 at home. We're going to go play number 5 ranked Tennessee. They're 10-0 at home. We got to go play 11-1 Georgia at Georgia with 11-1, and they got to come here. We got to play at Missouri. We got to play that Mississippi State team again. We got to play Alabama again. This team, I kept on saying it over and over again, especially when we started winning a little bit. I said, look, we're better than what people thought, but we're not as good as what they think. And, this team was picked 6th in the league, and I told you from the jump I thought that was fair. We only had one player that was on anybody's preseason anything, and that was Janai Broom. So even to this point right now, I'm really pleased with where we are. I'm really pleased with the position that we're in. Now, that said, I just listed off about a bunch of games that are going to be every one of these games is going to be like an NCAA tournament game. Most of the teams that I've listed were picked ahead of us. It's going to be a daunting challenge. Now, if we can continue to play defense, we've got to do a better job of rebounding and making shots. Then we got a chance to continue to win against some of these opponents, have a pretty good year, and make the NCAA tournament. None of that's decided yet. But I do think that there was too much negativity, and I want to sort of protect my players from that in the sense that this team was not supposed to be in the position that we're in this year. They just weren't. And they put themselves in that position. Now, we don't know how it's going to finish, because if we don't improve in those areas, it's going to be just going to be an okay, good year. We have to improve in those areas. But to this point, right now, I will defend my team and say that they worked hard to be in position that they're in.
Bruce, you talked about before the 2-game losing skid that, yeah, it's great that the guys are saying how much they're enjoying playing with each other, but you were curious how they were going to respond to the adversity when it eventually came. What have you seen from them over the past week now that it's come?
Well, and first of all, just let me also say this, that just in addition to kind of what I was saying before, I am grateful for the passion and the intensity of our fans and the Auburn family. Just beyond grateful. I couldn't even begin to express it. And so these aren't complaints; they're just sort of realities. I thought they handled it okay. Janai Broom really, really stepped up. And he, our team did a great job of guarding Tolu Smith, but it wouldn't have happened without Janai. Dylan always is going to guard and got in just ridiculous foul trouble. His fouls were unbelievable. But it forced Janai to play so many minutes, and for Tolu to only have 9 points is incredible. He won't have less than double figures ever. And of course, Janai's offense has always been ahead of his defense, but he demonstrated that he can. He's always been able to switch out on guards. He played more physically. He really, really stepped his game up. And, of course, that's what you have to do either on the road or against the best teams on your schedule. And the best teams on our schedule are in the SEC and the teams that we're playing now, right? And so we do need others to be able to step up. Jalen Williams has been incredible, all right? Jalen Williams has had an incredible run. Didn't play as well as he's been playing the last 2 games in a row. So he's going to try and respond to that. His playing better is pretty important to us, right? You know, he is clearly one of our go-to guys. So, but I think overall the guys, they're competitive. They want to win, and so if you see us yelling on the bench and arguing and whatever, man, we're just trying to win.
Bruce, is there something to be said for the fact that, like, kind of hitting this stretch of adversity and hitting it, heading into February, a month before March, just kind of having that time, is that of value that it's happening now as opposed to any bit later?
I just think it happens to everybody at some point in the league. Just once you get into league play, and there's going to be a lot of 9-9s in this league. There just are. They don't make the NCAA tournament. There could be some 8-10s that make the NCAA tournament out of this league. And so, yes, how you respond to adversity is important. Did the Alabama loss have a hangover at Mississippi State? How about the fact that Mississippi State's just a great defensive team, and they really did a good job of guarding us? We did a good job of guarding Alabama, for the most part, but we also struggled to score. And rebounding was an issue in both games. And so some of my concerns, it's interesting. We had talked about defense and rebounding all summer, all fall, because I measure my team against what I know the best teams are, right? And so we've been out-rebounded, I want to say, 6 out of 7 SEC games we played. I think we out-rebounded, maybe not, maybe we out-rebounded Arkansas. We may have out-rebounded Ole Miss, I'm not sure. But, I mean, we've been out-rebounded. And that's got to be a factor for us. Like against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's going to score early in the clock. They've got some dynamic players in transition. They're a dangerous team because they got 2 great guards and 4 or 5 really good players. They're dangerous in transition. They're dangerous from they know how to make tough shots, and their bench can make threes. So and they'll score late in the clock. And there'll be fewer possessions in the Vanderbilt game because they're gonna run a lot of clock.
Bruce, kind of going off of that, you've talked a bit about Jerry Stackhouse and how hard his stuff is to guard. Can you kind of talk more about that and just how it's just so difficult?
Well, I think he's an NBA coach and for was it a more NBA player. NBA offenses are with a 24-second shot clock. You've got to be able to do things pretty quickly and get guys advantage, disadvantage situations pretty quickly. So what Jerry does, and I used to do this a lot, especially when I was clearly not quite as deep as opponents. We'd score really early in the clock, and we'd score really late in the clock. And that's what I did for years at Tennessee. That's what I did when we first got into Auburn. Now that we're playing 10 or 11 guys, I want the pace up. So we're playing a little differently than just early and then just late. So I just think it's Stack's background, his experience. He's got a great offensive mind, and he's one of the better offensive coaches in the league. And his kids play hard defensively. It's not that. He said that that's a great separator for him.
Bruce, when you talk about we got to knock down shots better, how much of that is shot selection? How much of that is just confidence and needing to hit those shots?
Well, a little bit of both. It's hard to be confident when you're not making shots. And then also your teammates, they're driving the lane and they ready to kick it out. They know what your shooting percentage is, and sometimes they may take a tough 2 instead of kicking out. They're not being selfish. They're just wondering, is that the right pass? And we got to make the right pass regardless of whether that's a shooter. And that shooter's got to take that shot, make that shot, or pass it if they can't. And, part of it is a little bit of both.
Hey, Bruce, I know you guys have
all the confidence in the world in Aiden, but he's got so much talent, but he's still young. How do you sort of speak to him through some of these struggles and say, the confidence in us, we still believe in you,
Yeah.
keep shooting? How do you sort of handle sort of where he's at?
So much of it is about outside expectations, and then you want your own players to have high expectations for themselves. So I think Aiden's expectations are through the roof coming in as a McDonald's All-American freshman point guard. But if you look at the freshmen in the country, he's one of the leaders in assist turnover ratio of all of them, just even any player that plays as much as he does. That's pretty strong. He's not shot the ball like he's shot his whole career. Well, guys are a little bigger, stronger, faster, getting to him. Scouting is better. But he has to make the open ones, and he's getting some open ones. And when he does, it makes us a lot better. I think it's going in every time he releases it. I think it's less about shot selection and a little bit more about just making shots. We've taken a couple of bad shots, but for the most part. So just being honest and open with him, Hoke, continue to put him in position to be successful. He's like any player, he's probably, surprised at the jump in the level, no matter how much you tell him. That's why, and again, I'll ask Marlene to do the research. Historically, there's only been about 17 or 18% of the top 100 top 100 high school players that are in Power 5 schools to average double-digit minutes and double-digit points. It is really hard as a freshman. Why? Because of the transfer portal. Why? Because of the 5th and 6 years that are out there still. Probably got one more year of that before that cycle kind of moves on. And so 18-year-old kids are going to be challenged compared to 23-year-old men.